It's the 13th of February 2020. Can you believe it? And the Lewis salmon season has been open in just a very few places for 2 days now. So I've come out for a wee cast, and to be honest, that anybody knows of, there's never been a fish caught this early. But sure, what a glorious morning it is. Everywhere's crisp and frozen and frosty. And we're going to have a wee bit of sun as well, just to brighten the day up, I think. So I'm going to have a wee cast, see what I can do, and maybe just give it an hour or two, you know, because it's not worth a whole lot of effort. But on the other hand, it's just such a lovely day to be out. Oh well, the first few casts of the season aren't working too neatly. Whatever, that's kind of what you expect. Suffering from a bit of icing in the guides here. Everything's freezing up, but I'm going to walk to the next spot anyhow. So, because this will be a fairly quick wee run around a few places. But I've got a bit of ice going on. Even the line's iced up a bit, because I'm feeling it as it comes back through my fingers. Right, so I'll take a walk a wee bit further up, see what it's like. There's a wee spot here I want a quick cast in, just for a few minutes before I go any further. And then we'll keep on moving. See, because the fish are so few and far between. Spring fish on Lewis are a rarity in the extreme. I think there were 3 last year, so they really are not a common thing, which makes it all the more sport. But the problem is finding them, because they're maybe not here quite this early, but they're certainly here at some point during the spring. But there's so few of them, you just have to be in the right place at the right time. So normally I wouldn't just come walking in here, I'd crawl in on my hands and knees. But, well, I'm not crawling this because, as you can see, the river's very high. So there's quite a lot of water about. I'm getting a bit of tanglification. Not helped by the fact that everything's frozen. Whatever. See how it goes. Right, that'll do me here. Next spot. In fact, it might be nearly time for a cup of tea. So before I make a cup of tea, I thought, I'll have a few casts here. I've changed the fly for a big yellow thing. No idea exactly what it is, but it's kind of big and yellow. Probably sufficient. Standing here was where I finished off my season last year, so it's kind of nice to start sort of in about the same place. Though nothing froze up. With the river high, this wee spot's always worth a cast, you know. And it is pretty high today. We've had about a month of rain and extremely strong winds. So, although this looks like idyllic spring fishing, in actual fact, the folk who came out on the first day, which was the 11th, could barely stand. They got the most horrendous weather. Right, I think it's time to move on up. If we can get up for the flooding, that is. But I'm sure we'll find a way. Right, I think that'll do us here. We'll move on up again. So I've walked up the river a bit for a wee cast here. Some who have watched my earlier videos might recognise this spot. just I was hooked in a wee bit of the bank or something there. As you can see, it's clouded in a wee bit. I think the temperature's risen as well because the rings aren't freezing anymore on the rod, so, and I can feel that the line isn't frozen. You know, I'm not bringing it in with its ice on it, so temperature must have risen fairly rapidly. So I think it's getting about time to make a move. And what I'll maybe do is bounce my way down and then change rivers. Because especially with the cloud in at the minute, you know, gives you a wee chance. So a change of river, and as you can see, we're not short of water in this one. And a fantastic spot to kick off the season on this river. Again, Lewis doesn't get many spring salmon, but this river's a very famous grilse fishery. Or maybe the famous grilse fishery. I'm starting to feel like I fancy some lunch, so I'm gonna fish down this quite quickly and then go down to the hut for a quick bite of lunch, and then we'll give it another run down maybe. Right, I think it's time to have a bit of lunch because I'm feeling a bit peckish. And I've got to say, this is running pretty high, but there's no reason why there shouldn't be a fish in here. So we'll gather ourselves into the hut and then we'll have our lunch. So we'll make our way down to the wee hut here for our lunch. I'm just taking it easy because there's still ice on some of this stuff, you know. Though with the sun having come out, it's not so bad. But there's certainly a lot of water in here today. A wee bit more than I expected, but saying that, it's kind of fishable just down here. But this has to be one of the world's best lunch spots in terms of Atlantic salmon fishing. Though it's a wee bit damp today because the tide's in, obviously. But we'll have our lunch here, get the stove going, and then we'll feel better after that and we'll have a cast. Well, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, to say the very least, because it's a wee bit higher than I expected. Though, kind of, I don't know, 6 foot in the gauge maybe. And I'd kind of guessed that it would be heading for 6, so pretty close, I suppose. But we'll give it a throw. I've got the lunch on here in the wee hut. I'm boiling away here to get my lunch done, and I've got some dehydrated food just to make it easy and quick. And then we'll get a fly on and get a cast in here. But what a lovely spot for your lunch, eh? Could you beat it? Oh well, there we go. We've got a bit of a boil going now, so let's get the lunch out and get some food in our stomachs. So today I'm drinking copper soup instead of tea. A most unusual experience, but it's a bit cool, you know, with it being February still and whatnot. But the river's fantastic, isn't it? It's just, you couldn't beat this for a spot for tea, like, and a wee cast for a spring fish. And you know, there's always a chance. I can see the heron on down. He's not catching anything either. Oh, and that soup's good and hot. So you can't beat that. But I've got pulled pork on the go in there as well. I'll have it in a minute or two. So I think it's time to head on up. I think I'll fish the bottom of the pool above again, and then I'll go up to the pool above that, and then that'll be me done, because I was only supposed to be out for an hour or two, and I'm probably chancing my arm a bit in this being an hour or two. So I just wanted to put the flies through the tail of here before I nip up quickly to the pool above, and then that'll be me done. Right, I think that'll do us here. We'll go up a pool for a quick 5 minutes and then we'll call it quits, I think. So just to finish my wee jaunt out, I want to put the flies through here for a few minutes. Just sometimes in the spring there'd be a fish would lie in here, but we are a wee bit early for a spring fish yet. Always a chance though, but really it's usually April before the very few spring fish that we do get are caught. Well, I've neither seen nor moved anything, but I think it's time to call it quits. What a fantastic day out, like for February, you know. And two fantastic rivers today. Really, you don't get better salmon fishing anywhere in the world. So I think that'll do me for the day. I think as you can see, I've bagged the best parking space in salmon fishing up there. So my walk home's only a few yards,